Walter Mosley, you're a writer and producer for the FX drama series Snowfall, about the influx of crack into Los Angeles, especially in the 1980s. And as a novelist, you've written about the intersection of crime and race in Los Angeles with the Easy Rawlins mysteries. I wonder if that gave you a lot of insights, had that experience that really carried over into helping you tell this particular story.
I don't think so. My experience is, being, Black in America, being other in America, and coming from Los Angeles, knowing Los Angeles to some degree. But I don't think that, it's very rare that what I do writing books had much to do with the show itself.
Having been better known as a novelist, how different is this experience just in terms of, working with other writers and working in a visual medium as opposed to the more solitary novelists kind of writing?
Yeah, well, you answered your own question there. I mean, the thing is that when you're writing a novel, it's just you. When somebody comes in and says, well, I don't like this, could you change it to that? If I agree, I go, okay. And if I don't agree, I say, no, I can't do that. So, you still want to publish my book or what? But, when you're working in film, it's very collaborative. There's literally 100 or more people that you have to deal with, who are making decisions for you, who are arguing with your decisions, who are telling you what to do, and then once you do that, somebody else comes and says, no, don't do that, do the opposite of that. The experience is really, really, really different, and of course, you don't listen to movies. I mean, it's not the language, it's actually, you watch movies, television. Seeing it is what the first way that knowledge comes in. And so you have to think in that way. Like, what am I looking at? Yeah.
And this story involves, how the CIA played a part in America's drug epidemic. And it feels like we are increasingly, and the show's been on for a few years, but especially in the last few years, increasingly reckoning with whether the institutions of America are the good guys in the narratives or not. Like we see a lot of questioning of that mentality and that kind of default. Like, what do you think about having this show kind of shine that light in that place that it hasn't always been?
I think it's really important to create a story and a cast of characters that speak to moments in American history that other people have never spoken to. The audience that watches our show, a lot of Black people, but there are also, I was just in Atlanta and there's all these, white guys in Georgia saying, man, that's a great show. I love that show. Because it talks about something that they know or they think they know, and that nobody else has ever talked about. No, that part of history, well, that's quiet. I went to a mystery thing that was mostly, older white people. I think it was getting an award or something. I was talking to this woman, and she said, so what are you doing? So I'm working on the show Snowfall. It's about the CIA bringing guns and drugs into to South Central. And she said, the CIA? You mean your show is saying that the CIA is involving itself in drugs? And I went, well, yes. And that was the end of that conversation. But, even for her, well, this is another point of view that's being presented to her that, will have some impact. I don't know if she's going to believe it, but it's going to have some impact. And I think it's really important for like everybody here today, talk and bringing truth into lives that either know those truths and have never heard it before. It's never been corroborated, in our major, system of information and entertainment, and then to other people to say, really, to have them think twice about it.
Yeah, and seeing on this show what makes it so impactful is not just seeing the effects on the criminal element of it, but also the personal element, what it's doing to Franklin and his family on the show. What's it been like developing, especially the relationship between Franklin and his father, which really came to a head in this past season?
Yeah. Well, you were trying to again to talk about the truth of an experience. You have a whole group of people who've been left out of the feeling of the experience of saying, well, I'm a part of this world, I'm building this world, and therefore start to have what you might call negative responses. Alton, Franklin's father, is a Panther, and says, listen, I'm gonna teach children. I'm gonna feed children. I'm gonna do these things. But at the same time, I'm gonna go armed to protect myself and my people from these invaders who are wearing police uniforms. Franklin, who was raised in that, has saying, I'm going to make something out of myself because I'm going to follow the greatest criminals in history, American history, which are the robber barons, and I'm going to be like them. I'm going to make my money. I'm going to make my mark, and then my grandchild is going to be president of the United States. This is a kind of a different way of approaching the American dream, but it's the American dream still in all.
And one of the challenges going into this most recent season is, of course, the co-creator John Singleton passed away, and I understand he brought you onto the show.
Yeah.
What was the challenge like of going into a season without his personal presence, his creative presence?
Well, the major thing about John is John was a great man. He really was. He'd be walking down the street, and it's a true story. A young woman walks up to him and say, "Hey, John, how you doing?" Say, "Hey, how you doing?" And she said, "Well, I just got out of jail, just got out of prison. I can't get a job." And John would say, "Well, I'm making this show, Snowfall. You want to be in the crew? And she was in the crew. Now she still is in the crew. And the thing is that, and he wasn't, overly, solicitous or anything. He would just say, if you can make it, you can make it. Here's the chance. The same way in the room. John didn't come in the room like many writer, director, star kind of people would do. He just came in and said, well, listen, this is what we're going to do together. And we just went like that. It was never his. It was always ours. And so, when John died, which is, so sad especially for us, I don't think there was ever a moment where we turned around and said, well, what are we going to do? Because the answer was, we're going to do what we were always doing when John was here. And, every once in a while we bring him up and say, well, how would John do this? And, we talk about it, but we weren't hamstrung by somebody who was dictatorial.
And you've gone from being in the writers' room on the show to being an executive producer on the show, and I wonder how that experience has kind of changed, and how are you all in on TV? Is that something you want to continue to do, both with Snowfall and maybe post Snowfall?
Oh yeah, I mean. If you came up to me and said, well, what do you do? I would say I'm a novelist. And I think that's always going to be the case. I'm always going to be a novelist because, writing books for me is the most exciting thing. Working in television is really a lot of fun. Like right now, they're shooting a show that I wrote based on one of my books, The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. And that's really fun. And, being I'm an executive producer there. I also on this show. And I think that I'm included because, I can, one, speak for the show like right now, but also I think that, I bring a lot, to the creative element of making a show. And listen, in the end, kind of all good shows are the same and all bad shows are the same. You have to make, you have to believe in the characters. You have to believe in that world. You have to make it work. And, and I know that, and I'm, okay at it.
And do you think the work that you've done on TV has, the collaborative element of it, the visual element of it, has it influenced your work as a novelist at all, or are those very separate kind of lanes in your mind?
Well, I'm an American, born in the very early second half of the 20th century. That means I'm a child of television. So I think the first thing is television informed me becoming a novelist because I was watching television before I was writing novels. And so, just even the notion of it, the brevity of it, the idea, I can see in my writing how I'm affected, by Gilligan's Island and, Maverick and, all these shows from a million years ago. And so I think that's more of an impact on me. And that, I'm just carrying that television thing, over novels and back into, instead of, watching television, I'm making it,
Well, congratulations on your work on the show this season. Congratulations on the season 5 renewal for Snowfall. It's coming back. So thank you so much for joining me.
And thanks for having me.